Hey everyone, how you doing today? Thought I'd show you this SV that I built yesterday. Pretty much, I showed block work of it yesterday and kind of early stage, untextured and things like that. I did finish it up last night, so the whole thing's done and kind of ready to test now in game. Um, I've got a couple issues with its flight performance that I'm trying to work through. Um, just to go on the rundown of this is kind of a bit of a prototype concept SV. The primary purpose of this is to go after your run-of-the-mill shielded POIs that are all over the place in game in Reforged Eden and probably in vanilla as well. So your regular Xerox bases and all your different kinds of stuff like that. For its weapon loadout, it has 4 laser cannons, 6 plasma cannons, 2 Gatling guns, and 4 minigun turrets. Does have a heavy SV shield in it, does have Wi-Fi and a detector as well, and a 10K ammo bay. The configuration of how all this is set up is I'm trying to keep this area back here so it doesn't take a lot of fire. And the AI will shoot at all the sides of the ship over here. So there's a lot of targets for it to aim at, and all these targets are away from the center of the ship, and that is a big part of its defense. Some other parts used on here, like wing parts, they do have more hit points than your regular block, including even these metal grates and stuff like that. So I tried to beef it up a little bit in the front, the center here. It's got more steel blocks and that grate and the wing parts and stuff in there. Just trying to keep it a little more protected on that side. So the backside kind of looks like this. It's running a single big forward thruster. It's got, I tried to improve the specs on it a little bit. I added a couple outer lift thrusters over here. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. It does have some bigger lift thrusters back in this area. And I'm trying to keep all these kind of spaced apart so they're going more out to the outer edges of the ship to try to improve the stats on it. Beyond that, though, originally it had laser turrets here. And something that was discovered yesterday when Excalibur brought in his new test tank, and he tried to go on a POI, he had laser turrets, exactly how I had laser turrets on this, side mounted over here. And those laser turrets cannot gimbal inwards at all, where these turrets can. And what that caused is when he was attacking a POI, say where I'm positioned right now in relation to the ship, they weren't firing at all because they can't aim inward. They can only aim at like a direct line of sight forward and out this way. So therefore, they were kind of worthless and weren't doing anything in battle because it was more of a front-facing combat tank again. So yeah, I decided to scrap the idea of laser turrets out there and put in just good old minigun turrets instead. They are a little bit cheaper in CPU, and that difference in CPU allowed for adding in a warp drive, which I totally didn't expect to happen. But yeah, it's got a warp drive in here. And then I set up this back room area to put in a lot more parts as well. So you can add another advanced Reforged Eden generator, 2 more advanced CPU cores, and 3 shield parts back here as well. But it's still staying a Core 6 build like it originally was, which is 1 basic CPU core, 2 improved, and 2 advanced. So it's 39,000 CPU. It's coming up to 38,830 with its current configuration, with a warp drive and a heavy shield installed in it. So all that's working out pretty good. I'm thinking, yeah, you could soup this up, add a couple more cores into it, throw another generator, some shield parts, maybe upgrade some of the weaponry to something, a better version of them, or just try a whole different weapon scheme. So everything's working out pretty good. Now my big thing too, on the version I showed yesterday, I had a roll of 32, I believe, on it. I did, by getting those outer thrusters in here, I did get the roll up to 42. But the yaw now is perplexing, and the yaw's at 30. So essentially speaking, when I fly this thing around, it really does feel pretty sluggish. Like my turn speed isn't wonderful. It's all right. The strafing's all right on it, but the turn speed is kind of lacking, and that in conjunction with the roll and yaw on it, it's just it's a little slower than I would like it to be. So that's what I'm kind of trying to do now is going through different possibilities, trying to see if I can increase the performance there. So I got a couple other versions of the ship out here. This one over here, I didn't do much to. I basically I took the thrusters that were on the down position, and I instead rotated them forward instead. So it's almost like the exact same thing, but that changed the numbers. It actually dropped the roll down to 37, but it increased the yaw by 33 by doing that. In relation, this actually flies almost a little bit better, maybe. Hard to notice, but I think a little bit better, believe it or not, than the other one. So this other version here, this is, I just sort of did more stuff to it. I removed the side turret positions entirely, but just to keep apples to apples, I left the same thrusters there. What else did I do to this thing? Oh yeah, I pulled the warp drive from it with it. Now the warp drive weighs more, so it was slowing down the ship a little bit anyway. And I replaced the warp drive with 5 RCS units in this one, and that got the roll to 50 and the yaw to 43. Now it's a combination of a few different things that happened here. One, the distribution of weight, not having the turrets on the side. Now keep in mind, this doesn't have a warp drive, and it doesn't have 2 of the turrets that the other ones had, so it's not exactly the same. But it does fly a whole lot better in relation to how the last one was flying. You can see that this one seems much more agile and feels a whole lot better flying around. You can bank around corners a lot faster and stuff like that. So it's performing better. But as in RCS versus thrusters, I kind of took a little bit more in-depth look at that. If we take a look here, I got some RCSs over here. Each one of these is 300 CPU. Now the mass is 128 kilograms, so they're not super heavy, but they don't do much either. By adding an RCS in, it's typically not very noticeable. In relation to medium thrusters, they're 135 CPU apiece, so literally you can put in 2 of these versus 1 of these. This is going to make a lot more dramatic effect on your stats and numbers, especially on a smaller craft like this, than the RCS is going to do. So it's a better bang for the buck for CPU. However, it does weigh a lot more too. So 2 of these would be over 500 kilograms, 500, and yeah, quite a bit. So it weighs more. And of course, if you're going to go this route, you got to make sure you don't need to add another generator to compensate for the extra thrusters involved too. In this case, I don't have that problem. But I'm basically trying to figure out how I can configure this to maximize its performance. Basically, I would like it to fly like the version wherever I just parked it. So this one, one of these. The one I'm looking at. I want it to fly more like this one, but maintain its same functionality of having the side turrets as well as the warp drive inside it. So I'm just doing a lot of like little trial and error, moving thrusters around, trying different thruster positions, trying this, that, and the other thing to see what I can do with it, to see if I can get it to fly a little better. And that's where I'm at right now. But the ship is basically finished, but I'll probably end up spending another hour or two trying to mess with this thing to see if I can get it tuned up a little bit better for better flight performance. Other than that, I hope it works. I mean, I hope the idea works out fine, and it actually does what it's meant to do in game, and that is go after your run-of-the-mill shielded POIs. But I'm going to try to get this into gameplay too and test it out and see if it works, and see if the whole concept works out. Again, it's kind of experimental here, and but other than that, beyond this, just a sip, which I really got sidetracked on last day or so. My next plan, I do have to I have to get this Megalodon here ready for vanilla, and then I also wanted to build probably a mining module for it that would fit these mining bays here, like the Astra modules can fit with a very small modification to its connecting doorway and ramp. So I did want to build a miner that can dock on this thing too. So those are my two future projects here. This one was kind of a add-in. I might release this for Excalibur's challenge, or I'm sorry, not, the Anvil challenge. Although it's not really quite what the challenge was looking to do. It was more of a ship that you can, use as your main ship, but I kind of want something I really want to use in game, and all those other ideas about like a main ship SV, trying to play the game out of a SV, it really doesn't work. The game's not designed for it. You got to have a base, you got to have advanced constructors, you got to have storage potential, and all these other things that SVs are just incapable of providing you very good amounts of on any of these things, and literally you can't build any of these other things because you don't have an advanced constructor. So you need a base on the side anyway, and then the SV's storage is really light compared to what a CV or base can do. So yeah, I'd rather just go with a combat SV prototype, I think, for the challenge. So that's kind of what this is going to be for, and it's not going to be called the Wasp either. I came up with this name, but I realized I had named something else in the past, a Wasp already. So I'll probably go with something bladey sounding, like maybe Saber or something. I don't know. I'll work out a name. If you got any name ideas, let me know. But other than that, that is all I've got today. Just kind of wanted to cover this ship. I don't exactly know when I'm going to release this ship yet. I'm going to test and tune it a little bit more, try it out in gameplay, and see if I can't get it a little better off than it is right now, at least with its flight performance. So anyway, y'all have yourself a great day, and I'll talk to you later.